Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us again on Hometalk Live. I am Jennifer, I'm with Our Peaceful Planet. We're very lucky to be back again. I'm so excited to get to share this new idea with you. We have a fun creative upcycle today that you can actually use on your back patio or on your table. It's something that we call a peekaboo centerpiece. It's something a little creative. For those of you who aren't super crafty, it's the perfect project. It works all year round. So remember, as you're watching, please let us know where you're tuning in from. I'd like to know where all of you guys are at, as well as comment on what current projects you are working on right now, because throughout the show, we're going to be reading through those, and then at the end, one of you will have a chance to win our Hometalk giveaway that we do at the end of every show. So make sure you get those in there and we will select a winner at the end. So today we are actually making these out of upcycled planter boxes, flower boxes. I had a couple of these lying around that I haven't used for a while since we got into the rentals. So I'm going to be showing you how to do this on a 24-inch wood planter. It's very simple. These things, I think new, they run about $10. If you have some lying around, you can use any style. I actually have a plastic one as well that works just as well, and I'm going to show you a finished one of these at the end, even though we're going to be building this one today. So I'm going to set that aside for right now, and we're going to go ahead and get going. If you do want to pick one of these up, you can actually go to ourpeacefulplanet.com. We have some great links on there to pick these up super cheap, like 10 to $5 a piece. So check that out. So initially with the box, what we're going to want to do is measure. We're going to begin by measuring the interior of the box. So I'm going to take my tape measure out and show you guys. I don't want to go from end to end. I want to go right inside. And it looks like this box is 5.5 inches across, and we are 20 inches this way. And inside of here, I'm actually going to make an inset. It's a lot easier than it sounds, don't worry. Once you have your measurements for this, you're gonna grab some pegboard. And I picked up just a small sheet at Home Depot, and I went ahead and actually cut this one for you guys so you didn't have to watch me do that whole process. When I'm measuring this out, I actually go 1/4 inch shorter than what my measurement was. So my 5.5 is going to be 5 1/4. My 20 is going to be 19 3/4. And I love using, I use Expo markers for everything. You guys have probably noticed that. And so when I mark my lines and I trace it all out to be cut, at the end I can just simply wipe it off, which is why I use these all the time. Then you're just going to take a jigsaw, go out and cut it down. And the whole point of this is for it to rest easily just kind of right inside of that lip. So I'm going to set this part aside, and to get our pegboard going, we're actually going to put some little twine handles on it, and I'm just using jute twine. This is like a 3-ply. It's a little bit thicker, and you want it to be thicker because we're going to make some knots with it. So what I do is I cut two about 8-inch pieces, 10-inch pieces. Let me go ahead and pull that out. And then on one end, I go a little bit long with them because on one end I'm going to tie a knot. And I'm going to go around 3 times to make sure it's nice and bulky. And the reason I want it bulky is because I'm going to actually push this through on the end. I come in 1 hole from each end. I'm going to pull it up through. And I want to make sure that that's not going to come through. Then I'm just going to feed it down the other side. And again, I've got a little bit of extra slack here so that I can do the same thing on this end. I'm going to get 3 knots in there to make sure it's a nice and bulky. Oh, that one actually only needs 2. That one bulked up really nice. So that when I turn it over, I actually have a little handle here. And you can just cut off any excess. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to speed through this a little quickly here. And I like having the white finish on top. You don't have to. If you pick up the pegboard that's brown on both sides, that's fine as well. It's actually not going to show it all once we get our project done. Oh, and that one went nice and thick too. So again, you have 2 little handles on each side. I'm going to set this aside because we're going to come back to this later, and I'll explain to you how this makes the peekaboo centerpiece. So now I'm coming back to our box. We're going to do a little bit more measuring. And I actually, on one side here, I went ahead and made a mark because this is a 24-inch planner. Total length is 24. And once I fill it, it can be a little bit heavy, but I want it to be portable. I want to be able to move it from my dining room to my back patio where I use it all the time. So I put handles on mine, on the wooden ones. So I just measured up through the center here and across through the center here, and I put a little dot right in there. And that's where I'm going to mount my hardware. I used handles, the average handle's 3 inches. So if you just put the tape measure up here, 1.5 inches on each side, you can mark for your holes and go ahead and just grab a drill bit, drill that through, and you can mount your hardware onto there.
Tiffany is curious to know what it is that you're making. She just tuned in late.
Oh, Tiffany and everyone else who is tuning in. We are making upcycled planter boxes into what I call peekaboo centerpieces. They are phenomenal. They're for indoors and outdoors, and you can use them all year. It's really neat. I'll get to that part, but you can easily change them out for any decor, any holiday, any season, birthdays. It's really fun. So stick around to see what we do with it. Once you have your holes drilled for your handles, don't mount your handles yet because we want to paint it first. Now for this, on the wood, I just use acrylic paint. I actually have one that I've already painted and mounted handles to, so you don't have to watch me paint this whole box. I'm going to go ahead and pull that one up so you can take a peek at it. And I went with 3 shades of acrylic in just kind of a neutral, so I kind of did an ombre effect. It took 2 coats to cover it, and I just kind of followed the lines around. And as you can see here, I've got my handles mounted on each end, which for something 24 inches in wood, it's going to have a little extra weight in it too soon, so it makes it very easy to move it around. You do want to make sure you paint inside the box, at least down about halfway, because this top lip is going to show a little bit once we get everything put together.
Valerie wants to know if you made the planter box.
I did not make the planter box. I actually had this one lying around, but they are super cheap to pick up. And I was telling them earlier, you don't have to just use wood. You can use plastic ones as well. They work just as great. I'm going to show you a finished one of these as well at the end. But you can pick these up for $5 to $10 a piece. There's actually a link on ourpeacefulplanet.com on this post. It'll link you directly where you can pick them up super cheap online. So now that we have this, there's obviously some holes down in here because it's a planter box. So I am going to grab my foil, and I use foil because for one, it's cheap. I'm going to use a lot of it. And I'm going to be putting some candles in here. That is part of the project, so I want to make sure they're insulated, but I also want filler. I don't want to fill this whole thing up and have it weigh 50 pounds. So foil is a great, great filler. It's lightweight and it works wonderful with anything that has heat. So I start by just ripping off a piece. I'm going to fold it in half, and I kind of crunch it a little because it takes up a little more space that way. And I just stick it down in. I don't know if we can get a shot of that.
Teresa's curious to know if you could use old dresser drawers.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That is a brilliant idea. Any old wooden boxes, drawers, cubbies, anything you have lying around. Keep in mind, once it's all painted up, you get so many different looks from different styles. And so it really depends on your home decor and what works for you. So as I line the bottom of this with foil, I actually have already done this once. So I have a lot of foil that's already out. And I was not joking when I said it takes a lot of foil. I pick up foil at the dollar store and I use almost an entire roll. But again, for $1, it's pretty cheap. So I keep folding these, and I crinkle them up to take up more space. And I'm going to go ahead and shove these in here. So you can see I'm just going edge to edge, and I'm building up a base. And I want this base to come up, I would say about 2 to 3 inches off the bottom for this specific planter. You want it just below halfway. And so sometimes it takes a little bit more. You want it to be fairly level. So I'm just shoving all that down in there. We're going to compact it really good. And then I take one flat piece of foil at the end and kind of put that across the top. And that gives me a flatter surface so I can really see where I need to compress more and where I don't. And the reason I want this flat filler down here is because this is where I'm actually going to insert the fire feature portion of this. And I used for this one, again, dollar store amazing, I picked up 3 of these candles. They're 3-inch candles, and they both have, or they all have 3 wicks in them. So they give off a lot of light. And I'm going to go ahead and place these in.
Vicki says she's used packaged peanuts for fillers.
That is brilliant. I'm concerned about using packing peanuts in something with fire, unless you, again, line it with foil. Because once these get going and they burn down some, you are going to get some heat in there. And the foil really helps to protect the outside of the box from getting any heat damage. It just insulates everything really well. It doesn't get hot to the touch. So you could do packing peanuts along the bottom and then stack foil along that if you have those lying around. I would say newspaper as well would probably work just as great. Excuse me, I've been a little under the weather. So once we get these 3 candles in here, my goal is to have them evenly spaced, but you'll notice I'm kind of condensing things down a little bit. The tops of these candles should come about a 1/4 inch below this, below the top of your box. And that's because we have that insert that's going to go back in. So once I get these down in and they're positioned where I want them, I want to make sure again that they're going to stay there and that the heat is not going to affect the box. So going back to my foil, I pull off a longer piece and I do kind of a snake shape with it. And then if we can get a shot of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to go around each candle. And that's going to really help buffer it all the way around. It keeps it right where I want it to be. I have a few of these that I pre-made earlier, so I can just go ahead and shove those down in there. I'm going to go around this one and shove those down in. And the foil, once you get that in and compressed and filled in, you want it to come actually about 2 inches below the top of the glass of the candle. And that's because we're going to put some decorative filler on top that costs a little bit more than the foil. So it's good that we have the foil filling in some of that space. And then we just rip off random pieces, and again we go through and we fill in all of these gaps you can see here. We're just going to stuff that stuff down in there. I'm going to get a little over in these corners as well. And one more little piece over here I think should do us. There we go. So you can see everything's compressed. These guys are not going anywhere. They're going to stay right where they are, but they're insulated all the way around by the foil. And now we can start putting in the decorative portion of this part. I use these decorative glass beads. I'm going to put these up here. I opted for the clear and kind of the sea glass. You can get these in any color that works with your decor or that matches the paint color that you chose. I picked these up in these little bags here. And I got these, again, for 97 cents a piece. For a 2-foot planner, it took me 7 of these. So it did cost me $7 in stones. But overall, I'm still under $20 for my entire project. So once we have this, I'm going to start just filling this in. And you'll notice that some of them might fall down into little gaps and crevices between the foil. Not a problem. The whole goal is to cover up the foil and give the illusion that the entire thing is full of these. Also, these can get kind of heavy. I've got 7 pounds of them here. I really don't want something portable to weigh too much more than that. So the foil really helps with that as well. It's a very lightweight filler. I'm going to get a little more down in here. There we go. Now this is the lighting portion of the centerpiece. So it looks great when it's out. If you paint it to match your home decor or your porch decor, with the glass in here and with it being just below the ledge, these actually stay lit. I tested it, you can probably tell. This is the second one I've made. I burnt down all my first ones, but they stay lit even with a breeze going outside. I use them at every family barbecue, every time we entertain guests. They're absolutely fabulous. The best part about this project, though, is when we go back to our pegboard. Now the pegboard, again, it just inserts right in there. Fits right in on top of that. It'll rest on top of the glass, so it's not touching the candles or anything. Obviously, you want to blow those out first. And the reason I love the pegboard is because this is where it gets fun. This is where it gets decorative. If you don't need a candlelit dinner, or if you don't need ambient lighting outdoors, you can go ahead and pop this on top. And then we get our floral stems. Floral stems is the primary one I'm going to be demonstrating with today, but I have a few really neat options at the end that you've got to see that make this work for any holiday, any birthday, seasons, things like that. So using my wire cutters, I'm just going to clip off. I'm going to move this back so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to clip off pieces, and I don't want this bottom portion to be too long. This one is like an inch. On the floral stems, which I'll show you in a minute, they're a little bit longer. So I have a whole bunch that are already pre-cut, and I opted for a couple of different colors here. And again, dollar store flowers, super, super cheap. You can go with nicer ones. I pulled some from old decor items I had around the house I wasn't using anymore, so they didn't cost me anything. But I went ahead and cut these down, and you'll see I'm looking at about 2, maybe 3 inches is all I want. Now these leaves are usually further down on the stems. I go ahead and just push them up right underneath the flowers because that gives me the leaves that are still attached to the portion that I'm using. And they act as great filler as well. It adds a lot of color. And then once you have that going, you've got everything cut down and you're ready to start piecing things together. You simply pop these in to the little peg holes. I am not a florist. I am not great at making floral arrangements. This is completely foolproof. I don't even hit every single one because these are a little bit fuller. But I'm just going to go around and just drop them right in. And I'm going to keep going on this for a minute so that you can actually get the full idea of what this really looks like when it's complete. Because it is absolutely darling. So we're going to keep popping these in. I did forget to mention on the painting, because I use mine outdoors more than I use it indoors. And so I do recommend, if you're going to be using it outdoors primarily, that you put a protective clear coat on it. I have dabbled with so many different clear coats. Some of them get a little yellow after a little while. If anyone out there knows a brand of clear coat, please share it with us. One that maybe doesn't yellow and holds up really well outdoors, because I would love to have that information. I've gone through like 10 brands, haven't quite found the right one yet. All right. I also went ahead and cut a few other stems of greenery just because I like to kind of mix it up a little bit. I can go back in and just shove these in wherever, every here and there. We got a little spindly one there.
Jessica says she uses spray paint clear coat.
Just a spray paint clear coat? I'll have to look into that. If you have a brand, post it in the comments, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who could really use that. So as you can see, 5 minutes, I've created a floral centerpiece that I can put on my dinner table, or that I can decorate my back porch with when we have company over. And it was simple. You just pop them in there. Now, the best part about being able to pop them in there, again, is that you can do things for holidays. You can easily change this for the seasons. And if one night it's just you and the hubby at home, like it is with me, like once every 3 months, it doesn't happen very often, I can just lift this off and we can have a candlelit dinner. And it's romantic, it's wonderful, it gives off so much light. And then you simply pop that back in as soon as you're done. If I can get my little stems in there. And you're back to that gorgeous centerpiece. And you can do these, like I said, in any color you want. One of the things that I like to do is kind of mix it up. Easter was recent, so I make, using toothpicks, I grabbed some of the Easter eggs from the kids, and we actually just hot glued a toothpick onto there. That's all that you need. Very simple, and we were able to go through and sporadically place these throughout to create more of an Easter themed decor item for the month, and then I can just pop those out when I'm done and set them aside. I actually have a little box of these for all the different holidays. One of the really fun ones that I did is for a birthday. Again, toothpicks. I took packing bows. I got a whole box of these at the dollar store and just glued the toothpicks on the end. And I made an entire one. You can see it on ourpeacefulplanet.com. We have a picture of it up there of all these seasonal ones that we did. And you can go ahead and drop those down in as well. I've done it with flowers, but the one that's on the site is actually all bows on toothpicks. And it makes a beautiful, beautiful birthday themed centerpiece. I also used some of the string, glued that on as well. So we get a few extra flourishes. So you can really mix it up for anything that you want to do. For Christmas, I put poinsettias in here instead of flowers. And then I took some Christmas balls and I just glued those onto the toothpicks as well. And I do gold poinsettias and gold balls is what I did this last year. And again, you can sporadically place those throughout as well. So you can really, like I said, make it work all year long. No matter what scenario is going on, what special event you have. The Halloween ones turn out super, super cute with black roses. And so you can really just get creative and do whatever works for you.
Chris wants to know if LED candles would work with the flowers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You can use any type of candle you want. I actually had one on the back porch prior to this. I'm going to lift this off for a minute.
Marilyn would like to know where she can get pegboard from.
Oh, pegboard at Home Depot. It's very, very cheap. You don't have to get the big 4-foot by 8-foot piece. They sell them that are approximately 2 or 3 feet by 4 feet. So you can easily go in, grab it, carry it out. That's all I ever get. On the LEDs though, if you do go ahead and set those in here, you don't, again, the foil is for kind of insulation and filler. You don't have to worry so much about the insulation with those. It's really up to you and how you want to do it and what you have lying around, because upcycling, it's great for the planet. It's fun for us. So get creative with it. Put your own spin on it. I did tell you that we did a plastic one, so I wanted to show that to you as well real quick. I did one up for Easter. And in the plastic bin...
Claire wants to know approximately how many flowers did it take to fill your planter?
I got flowers that had 5 flowers on each one. They were 97 cents a bunch. Again, I'm a dollar store queen. So it took me 6. It took me 6 of those to do the big one. The small one, I only have 4 in here. Well, 4 and then one of the pinks. And they have, like I said, about 5 flowers each. So on this one that we did in the plastic container, we did something a little bit different on the inside. And I filled this one with sand, and I actually used smaller jar candles. These are only about 1.5 inches. You could do multiple rows of them. You could do your LEDs. I love the look of the sand. It's what I wanted to do in this one. I just think it's a really nice neutral look. I'm really into neutrals. But with these larger boxes, and with certain plastic ones, even on the flower boxes, you'll notice they have drainage in them. And no amount of foil down there is going to stop that sand from settling down through and coming out through those cracks. And then every time you lift it to move it, you have stuff everywhere. So I love these things because they come in so many colors, but you can do river rocks, anything bigger if you do have drainage holes in the bottom of the flower pot. Did we have any other questions? Make sure you guys are commenting. Remember, you got to be posting what project you're currently working on. If this is a project that you want to come back to later as well, please check out ourpeacefulplanet.com. We have the whole post up there, all the photos, and the seasonal photos as well, how they're done up for birthdays and things. And you can check it all out later in a quick glance if you don't feel like going back through the video. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything.
Stephanie Jaski for her outdoor buffet garden is the winner for today.
Oh, wonderful. We have our giveaway winner. It is Stephanie Jaski?
Correct.
And her project was?
An outdoor buffet garden.
An outdoor buffet garden. I would love to see a photo of that. Anything for my back porch. I live out there, especially this time of year. So congratulations. It's a phenomenal project. We can't wait to see it done. I really appreciate you guys joining us for this. It's such an honor to be back here. It's so fun to get all of your ideas. I appreciate your participation. Please share, send hearts, share it, link it to other friends who might be able to use these sort of projects. And if you do get them all made up, come to Our Peaceful Planet and post on our blog. We'd love to see what you've done with it. Put your own spin on it, especially the LED ones. I think that would be really neat. So that is it for me today, guys. Please keep a track on Hometalk Live for all the other videos. There are so many amazing projects coming up. You learn so many things. I'm a little addicted to it. Spend hours on there. But we look forward to coming back and sharing more ideas with you. And again, thank you so much for joining us. Happy crafting. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys.